What is up, my fellow Power Ranger fans? Showing up the King, the one and only Jack of all trades and the master of them all. And I'm here to bring you my review for Power Rangers Megaforce Episode 7. This episode is titled Cry Now or Cry For Me. I decided that, like I said before, with this series, I'm a huge Power Rangers fan, but I can't review every single episode because there are those throwaway episodes that I just cannot get into. But this particular episode, episode 7, was actually a very good episode, and in my opinion, probably the strongest of the season so far. And the only thing that I took away from this episode, look in my eyes. Do it look like I'm crying? I'm sorry, I just had to do it. Troy, the premise of this episode was dealing with bullies. And, this is a huge problem that, every young kid is dealing with in middle school and high school, just bullies in general. Me personally, when I was in high school, even in middle school, people try to bully you, but, you kind of just, again, the message you just gotta stand up for yourself. You can't let someone just push you around, because if you let them push you around, they'll just keep doing it, and no one wants that. No one wants to be bullied indefinitely. So that's kind of how the message of this episode was, and I kind of like that. There were two bullies. I guess they were almost reminiscent of Bulk and Skull, but for more of a modern age. One was a pimply faced, tall one. There was another one that was kind of bigger, kind of had man boobs, but whatever. They started picking on Troy because he was the new guy, and this is where the show started to kind of go off the rails, because the bullies are clearly, I don't know, maybe sophomores, maybe seniors, and of course they decided to pick on Troy. And even if I was a bully, he'd be the last one that I would want to mess with, even though he's just like too pretty for his own good. uh, so they started, picking on him because he's a new guy, and he just literally just looks him in the eye like cold, ice grilled him, kind of like Rick James, and you can kind of tell that they clearly feared Troy. And the bully looks him in the eye, and this is the first time we hear the now infamous phrase. He's like, "Are you gonna cry?" And he just steps up to him and is like, "Look into my eyes. Do I look like I'm going to cry?" To which he backs down, and they go find someone else to pick on. Not too soon after that, they do actually end up finding someone to pick on. This young, heavy set kid. He has a bug, and the bug is supposed to be very rare. He just screams, "Bully me." It was kind of weird because so far in this school, which I'm almost positive it's high school, he was probably the smallest, youngest looking student that I've seen on this show thus far. So, I mean, it almost was to the point where it was like fake. And I was like, this kid cannot possibly be in high school. But if you think back, he could have easily have been in the ninth grade, so it's quite possible. The main villain, actually, of this episode was Creepox. This wasn't a generic Monster of the Week episode. This is actually one of those, episodes where we get to see one of the big guns go out there and do what he does best. And again, we've already seen Creepox in action about maybe 2 episodes ago when he went up against Troy the first time for a one-on-one battle, and this is kind of reminiscent of that episode. The first two, the Yellow and Black Ranger, fight Creepox first, and they're easily mopped. They have mopped the floor with them. One thing that I want to note that was kind of funny, they're fighting in this park because the bullies show up at the park, and Creepox comes out, and Creepox bullies the bullies, and then the young boys that the boys were bullying bullies Creepox. It's just like a whole bullying funnel cloud of just bullying, and it was just hilarious. This kid can't stand up to two bullies, but you can stand up to a 7-foot tall insect. So whatever. The Rangers get their butts whooped, like I said, and then red and blue show up. Oh, that's what I wanted to tell you guys. This is what was funny. So Creepox is fighting yellow and black, and they're fighting in the middle of the park. And he hits them, and they go flying through this random building and immediately end up in like a warehouse district. And it was just like, what the hell? I was, it was just, I just found it so funny. It was like, you guys were in the park like 5 seconds ago. He knocks you or he hits you with his fist, and you end up in a warehouse district with all this dirt and no grass whatsoever. What the hell is up with that? So he defeats the Rangers. Red and Blue go after Creepox. He pretty much dispatches both Red and Blue. Blue is gravely injured, not gravely injured, but he's injured. And then it's just Creepox versus Troy. Now, this is where the episode actually kicks it up a notch. And I wanted to say this in a previous review I did. The battle scenes in this series of Power Rangers is top notch. I mean, the sword play was masterful. The choreographing was fantastic. Just a mix of the superhero abilities and the hand-to-hand combat and the sword play. All of this stuff is top notch. I mean, some of these moves, because again, what I enjoyed about this is we know that Troy's sword is more of a fencing style of a sword. Kind of how you would see in France, or if you are watch Pirates of the Caribbean, that's the kind of sword that he has. And clearly he was using that fighting style when he was going against Creepox, and it was amazing. Towards the end of their battle, they have the giant clash where they, cross paths, and then you kind of have that samurai moment where Creepox falls down, and you can tell that Troy is the ultimate victor. Of course, he blows up, and he dives the first time, and we have the secondary villain come in and use his Zombats to then bring Creepox back to life again as a giant, powering him up with the little silver armor that he has going on. To which the Rangers then, go ahead and summon the Gosei Megazord. Once they summon the Gosei Megazord, they quickly get dispatched by Creepox. I mean, it didn't even really take that long. And then, of course, Troy asks for help from Gosei, to which Gosei summons the... God, I don't even think I want to try to remember what this thing was called. It was like the Mega Gosei Ultra Zord something Mega. I don't remember, but essentially all the gun pieces from the Land Brothers, the Sea Brothers, the Air Brothers, they all combine onto the Megazord as just their heads. So the heads connect to the little ports on the Megazord, and essentially that's their Megazord, and they end up dispatching Creepox. Overall, this episode was very strong. The message in there actually added a little bit of realism to it, which I had no issue with. I love when these shows try to tackle the bullying issue. And I'm kind of just glad that they also kind of confronted the bullies, because, too many times when you see these kind of shows, they're always like, no, just go tell a teacher, or don't do anything, just ignore them and they'll go away. But the reality is that you can't just ignore a bully. A bully's going to mess with you regardless if you try to ignore him or not. I think confronting the issue without trying to use violence is probably the best way, but you should always try to keep it in your back pocket just in case they go too far. But again, I want to know what you guys thought of the episode. I'm definitely going to give this episode a 4.5 out of 5. It wasn't a perfect, but it was pretty damn close. The combat was fantastic. The animation style is fantastic. Just the special effects, everything on this episode was pretty good. And the actual story, when they're not actually in Ranger form, was actually spot on as well. But again, I want to know what you guys thought. Did you guys also think this episode was pretty good? Let me know what you would have rated out of a 5 in the comments section below. Definitely let me know what you thought of the episode in general. And if you would, just thumbs up the video. Every thumbs up helps me spread my message out to the people, so it's always helpful. This is Showing Off the King, the one and only, and you guys have a fantastic day.